In the Wild West world of podcasting, there is one podcast that is authentic and genuine and continues to stand tall in its originality. Based on a passion for his guests, their work, and his love of podcasting, Derek Thomas and Monday Morning Critic Podcast get amazing, diverse, unique guests found nowhere else. The variety and quality are endless. There is something for everyone. Derek Thomas is the hero you deserve. He's a silent guardian, a watchful protector. Welcome to Monday Morning Critic Podcast. Here is Derek Thomas.
You know, my mother worked in this house. She was kitchen staff. I was actually born here.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. When I was young, they moved us out to the cottage at the edge of the property. That's where I grew up. We ended up buying it from Miss Hill, and we're still there. But my mom, she never liked Hill House. She'd come home sometimes after a long shift or a night shift, and she'd be scattered, you might say.
Scattered.
Talk to herself and the like. Towards the end, she'd wander into the woods at night barefoot. And I swear I could hear her out there, giggling like a schoolgirl in love, out there in the cold, talking low like to a suitor. And she'd sleep out there sometimes too, so yeah, scattered.
I see.
So Mom died, and I met Clara when she got hired on working for Ms. Hill. We even got married on the grounds. But Clara, she spent a lot of time in here. Especially when Hazel got sick. I mean, double shifts. Even longer sometimes. Well, Clara got pregnant. Our first, a real blessing. But Miss Hill made her keep on working, even with the baby coming. You know, Clara didn't complain, because she's a strong woman. She's a towering woman. And so she did it. She didn't take any time. And so the day comes, the doc comes, and my little girl's stillborn.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It was a dark time, my first one, and she never even got there. Anyway, we offered it up, put it in God's hands, and she went back to work fast. I mean, she's never been one to dwell, but grace of God, she was back to it not a month later. But the nightmares she had. And Clara is a brave woman. And these nightmares, they had her down in a corner, shaking so bad I thought she'd seize up dead.
God, I'm sorry.
So one night, she's cleaning the master bedroom up there. This is before Hazel passed. She's cleaning Hazel's room. And she hears a baby crying. Hears it in other rooms too. And she goes looking and looking. And I mean, I thought she was losing her damn mind. But it rattled her so good. She ran home. Through the woods. No light. Scratched her face to ribbons on the branches. So I came back here with her one night, and I'll be damned, but I heard it too, and I knew it. I don't know how, but sure as St. Thomas, my doubts, they just dropped away. And I knew that was my first little girl's cry. That That first cry, the one she never got to... So, we stopped coming here after dark. Told Miss Hill, you can fire us. But once dinner's served, we leave. Come back in the morning for the dishes. Never spend a minute inside after dark. Yeah, just superstitious at first. But here's the thing. It worked. No more nightmares. No more crying. No one acting scattered. We stuck to it, and it's better. So, yeah, it's not my place. But if you find your missus is acting scattered, then yeah, maybe a little time away would do the trick. From the house, I mean. And a little prayer, too, most likely.
Hi, I'm Robert Longstreet, and you're listening to Monday Morning Critic.
My streak of not getting emotional during an interview might be in jeopardy here.
That's great. Good. We'll both probably start crying.
Man, I've been doing so much. You know, the one thing I was listening to was you and I have talked, and I don't think you mind me mentioning this. You don't do many podcasts. I mean, I think...
No, I don't do... I mean, really, any. I've only done one before, I think.
Yeah, and you did one before and was a really fun listen. And I'm going to say that I did hear that you were from Marblehead, Mass., which is super interesting. How long did you spend in Massachusetts, Robert?
Yeah, I think probably, about 16 years.
Okay.
From about 6 into my 20s, yeah.
Are you? How did you like the 4-season effect of really, you know, the winter, the fall? How'd you like that?
I loved it. I've become a big baby now, living in LA for so long. But I never thought anything of the winter, and I love it's depressing to me out here that we don't get thunderstorms, and there really aren't seasons. So I'm going to Maine in about a week for 3 weeks just to go kayaking and looking at the leaves up there. I just love it. I really miss New England. I'm going to move back there.
Yeah. And I'm out of Massachusetts too, and I love Maine. Like,
where are you?
I'm in. So, do you know where the Basketball Hall of Fame is in Springfield, Mass? I am.
Yes, I do.
Probably like 10 minutes from there. It's on your way to the Berkshires. You know.
Yeah.
And it's a really great place. And you bring up Maine too. Before my wife, we had our first child a couple of years ago, we loved Portland. Like, it was just so chill. The atmosphere, the people. Maine's like the best little secret. I mean, maybe it's not even a secret anymore, but it's like the best secret place to go. Everyone's going to Cape Cod. I'll take Maine any day of the week.
Oh, I die for like those granite boulders and those pine-surrounded lakes. They're just so beautiful. Yeah, Maine and the coast is incredible. Yeah, that's my happy place. I've been going there my whole life.
Yeah, it is stunning. You know, and when I picture your early life as a kid, I picture like this. You know, there's as far as your love for movies, I can't comment on anything else. But I picture this kid with the 8mm camera. I think that's what it was. Is it 8mm? Is that right? 8?
Yeah. I had a super 8mm camera. Did I say that somewhere?
You did in an interview, but it was like, I want to get into it. There was a fun interview with you and Steve Little, which I loved listening to.
Oh yes, you know, like I do love that interview, but that's one of the reasons I didn't start doing interviews. I looked at that and it's perfectly fine, but I'm just so fucking eager, and it scared me.
Yeah,
you know
what was, you were being super polite. Like, you were being so nice. Like, some of the questions you were kind of fielding probably weren't fair to you or to Steve, but like,
I didn't like some. Yeah.
You were kind of being, you know, down the middle. You're trying to be polite. That comes across very easily. Like, you definitely were trying to be a gentleman, which you were. You know, so but you know, it's funny because I picture you as this, because Steven Spielberg's coming out with a movie about his life, and it's just, and it's just, it's not about his life, but it is. Like, you're watching this trailer, and it's just so beautiful. And I picture you as that eager kid that loved cinema. That was just, is that kind of a dead on as far as your love for cinema?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the Super 8 movies they were all horror movie ripoffs or copying Monty Python. Yeah, but I've loved it and did it forever.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, it's so funny because when actors come on or directors, whomever, I always ask them, an obvious question, but an important one, like who is an influence you have? Because I hear you talk about movies, even in those 2 interviews, the very limited ones you did, you drop so much movie knowledge, like your stuff, and I'm not talking about like stuff you learned as you went along, like just stuff like a fan would know. Like it's amazing your how much you process when it comes to the movies.
Oh, I had a little theater in my basement with a big white sheet and a Super 8 projector, and I would save up my money from mowing the lawn to go and buy like these 400-foot reels that were 15 minutes of encapsulated movies, and I had The Exorcist and The Poseidon Adventure. Like I had probably like 30 of them.
And is there an actor or a movie that has started this whole wonderful career you've established?
Yes, Butch Cassidy. Yeah, it was Robert Redford and Paul Newman, and I finally got in a Robert Redford movie. I didn't have a scene with him. My scene was with Casey Affleck, but I still and I think it was his last one, and the fact that it's kind of a bookend to Butch Cassidy really is thrilling to me that I have just one scene in that, but I finally got to Robert Redford, after just like hero worshiping my whole life.
And some actors, Robert, would give their left leg to have that happen.
I would too, but you know what? I didn't want to meet him. David Lowery asked if I wanted to meet him, and I said, if we're not acting together, then I'm just going to gush and fall apart.
Yeah,
but if you're acting with somebody, there's a little bit of a more even playing field, but otherwise I'm just an adoring fan, and I'm not great at it. I'm still in awe of movie stars.
Robert, what is your very first credit? Is it Matlock?
Yes.
That's kind of a cool entry into the world of television and film.
It was why I had been in New York for, I think, 7 or 8 years and did a ton of theater, but couldn't get arrested as far as an agent or anything like that. And my family sort of did a rescue mission on me and sent me to Wilmington, North Carolina, where I was the prop buyer on Matlock. And then they let me audition for it, and I got that. And I got in my Jeep on the way home when I found out I had that, and I started bawling. Yeah, and now it just feels like 7 lifetimes ago.
Robert, what was your training coming into this? Like, as far as, I couldn't find this anywhere, as far as maybe a coach, schooling.
Oh, I had amazing teachers. I had, in New York, it took me a couple times to get into her class, but do you know who Uta Hagen is?
Oh, yeah, very famous.
A famous acting teacher. I studied with her for 3 years. First 2, I was absolutely terrified. The 3rd year, she started liking me, and I had a really good time. But she and Jeffrey Tambor, when I went to the Beverly Hills Playhouse for a year, he was my teacher. And so between Uta Hagen and Jeffrey Tambor, they're yeah.
Without those 2, Robert, are you where you are today?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's huge.
No, they taught me technique, and I needed technique bad because I am so intimidated by all this stuff. It scares me to death, and I really need it. I have to use it to get lost in it because every part I do just scares me to death.
Yeah, and how tough is the path for you, Robert, right? Because obviously we look at your filmography, it's impeccable, it's amazing right now, but
that's so sweet of you to say that.
Yeah, and people assume, it's just, because you're on television, people make a lot of assumptions, but it's a long, gritty road, right, Robert?
Oh my God, I heard no for 35 years.
Wow,
and had people corner me every once in a while and be like, dude, it's not working. What are you doing? And it's just, you can't explain to people, and it's humiliating and embarrassing, and you may have made no ground in 2 decades, but I don't know. I just thought if I stuck it out, and it worked, which is amazing.
You see the finish line. You see where you want to go. You may not be where you want to be, and people might not see that, but that's a perfect example, Robert. People just, you have to believe in what you want to do, forgetting about what anyone thinks.
You do. But God, you have a lot of Sunday come to meetings about it. You have to assess every once in a while whether you're going to keep doing it. And God, some people persevere like I did, and it still doesn't work out.
Yeah,
it's really hard. It's insane. It's like saying you want to be a rock star or something.
That's true. It's very true.
It's easy for people to roll their eyes at you. Yeah.
And I want to jump into this amazing filmography you have. One of the
sure.
As Lonnie in Halloween. I mentioned Steve Little earlier, and I maybe missed this during the interview I was watching. What is the connection with David Gordon Green? Is he somebody you knew just kind of just meeting each other, or
I did a movie in Wilmington, North Carolina, directed by Orner Tukel, and it's called Ding-a-Lingless, about a guy without a dick, and I play his womanizing best friend. And he lives vicariously through my stories. And David Green saw that movie and fell in love with it, and so I got his email and I wrote him, and he put me in the movie Undertow like a month after that.
Wow.
Yeah, so it started way back in, God, I guess that's 2004, maybe.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I did a teeny part in Pineapple Express for him, but Lonnie was definitely the biggest one by far, and that was such a gift. He just gave me that.
Yeah, and it's such a fine line, Robert, between horror and comedy, but I almost feel like it's they're close, because David Gordon Green is one of the funniest guys on the planet as far as what he, the way his vision and what he wants his actors to do. Yet he's doing like The Exorcist coming out. He does Vice Principals. like it's either a really funny movie or it's a horror movie. Like, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. I thought it was really smart that they got him with his sensibilities doing horror movies.
Yeah.
And The Exorcist, I just can't even imagine what the hell that's going to be. Those 3 movies, that's just incredible.
Yeah. And you're so good in Halloween, but I tell you what.
Thank you.
Yeah, how about the fact that, Aquaman, Professor James, you got a really diverse filmography, Robert.
That's such a great thing. That's thanks to Annie McCarthy, that casting director.
Yeah.
That's a sweet little Easter egg to have.
As much as I love horror, and I think we're close in the same age, if not the same age. I was born in 1973.
Oh no, I'm way older than you. I'm turning 60 in November.
Well, I tell you, you look like a very young 60. I'll say that. That's pretty impressive.
That's good.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
Yeah. I love horror, and I love Michael Myers, and I love Jason. But you know what I love? I love Mike Flanagan, and I love you, and I love Henry Thomas, and I love horror with heart. Wow. And you're a big part of the horror with heart movies, and I love them immensely.
I love those people you just mentioned, too. I mean, Mike Flanagan changed my life, and Henry is just a dear friend now, and I love him so much.
Yeah, and
they're incredible people. Yeah, Mike changed my life.
Yeah, and we're going to get to that in a second. You mentioned Henry Thomas, and I brought him up earlier, too. I got to tell you, when I interviewed him, like off the air, like after the interview, asking me about, like, sincerely, I just had my child, asking me about my family, asking me how I'm doing, sharing like advice about fatherhood. Like, he didn't have to do any of that.
Yeah, that's great. How many kids do you have?
I have 1 2-year-old and 1 on the way. I started a little bit later in life, but you know what? Better late than never.
But that's great. Congratulations. That's thrilling.
Thank you, Robert. It's very kind of you. Yeah. So I'm excited. But like, it's just the idea that these people that you admire, because I mean, Henry and your work, like, you grow up with it. It's in your life now. It's impactful. And then for somebody to sincerely care like you've done, like Henry's done, it's like you guys are the real deal. You're not putting on a show. It's like you practice what you preach, which is really refreshing.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Henry's so good and just keeps getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
I mean, he was good out of the gate. He's one of those, like, they're, just God-given. The fact that he just walked in and could do what he did when he was 9.
Yeah, and you talk about the grind you went through. Like, look, he went through a grind where he was an ET, and he still managed to become and is relevant when many people in that time just disappeared.
No, it's incredible. And I actually have a few friends who've been the sane and lucky ones, like Anthony Michael Hall and Elijah Wood, Henry, and they're all sane and relevant and still working and just getting better and better. They're amazing. They're really rare.
Yeah, special people. So let's get into you and this wonderful director, Mike Flanagan. I'm so pissed. I have to tell you, Robert. There was a Comic-Con that was, I want to say about an hour away. It was 3 weeks ago. I had tickets. I was ready to go. Mike Flanagan was there. His wife Kate was there. Henry was there.
I love Kate too.
Yeah, and I wanted to go so bad, but something popped up in a personal life where I couldn't go, and I wanted to meet them, and I'm kicking myself for it, you know.
Yeah, well, there'll be another, won't there?
I hope, and you should be at those too because people want to see you.
Do you really think so?
100.
I've been approached by agents for those, and I always say no. I can just see me sitting there with everyone else with a big line and people going like, who the fuck is that?
No, I think 100%. I think you should try one out. And I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. I think you should try one out. Yeah, I think you should try one out. I think you'd be surprised at the reaction. I do.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because
okay.
Yeah, I mean, if Mike Flanagan is doing Comic-Cons, who you never would guess is doing a Comic-Con, I think it's worth your time. I do.
Yeah.
You know.
All right, maybe I'll check one of them out. I've been afraid of.
Yeah, don't be afraid. You'd be great at them. Is it 5 total projects with Mike, Robert?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Isn't that amazing? I think in 4 years too, right?
Jesus. It's just so for those listening, it's the Fall of the House of Usher, the Midnight Club, which drops this Friday, which I'm so psyched about.
Yes, I've just seen it. It's so good.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah.
Midnight Mass, that's 3. Haunting of Hill House is 4. And Dr. Sleep. And Dr. Sleep is 5.
And Dr. Sleep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I love the terms Flanafam and Flaniverse. I love those terms.
I do too. I'm so honored that I'm in them.
Yeah.
And those people, all those actors are friends. I just went hiking with most of the cast of Midnight Mass a couple of weeks ago, and we're all in touch, and that's like genuine affection for each other. So he not only cast these things really well, he cast the personalities really well. Yeah, they have a no asshole rule.
That is so well said. I was thinking about our interview last night. I was watching another movie, and do you know the actor Guy Pearce? You know who he is?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's great.
Great actor. So I'm watching him in a movie, and I'm like, I want to be careful how I phrase this because I don't want to put down other actors. But in this movie, there was a significant difference between him and like the guy who played his boss. Like it was like. The ability, speaking just for ability alone, it seemed like Guy was a little or a lot more what's the right word I'm looking for? Seasoned, more
Adroit.
Yeah, and I feel like there was a huge drop in and I'm not trying to take a shot here, but I guess my
and those are speed bumps,
Yeah.
When that happens in movies, yeah.
But I feel like those hiccups don't happen with Mike because the cast is he's meticulous about who he wants on screen.
Yes. Yes, and Anne McCarthy is an incredible casting director.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mike just has an eye. He's a star maker.
How did you first meet Mike, Robert? What was your very first interaction with Mike?
It was, I'll tell you what, I had that's the last time I've ever been in a room auditioning. And it was the monologue that I do in that show. And it was just incredible. And I did the audition. He loved it so much. I was on a plane at 5 a.m. the next day flying to Atlanta. So I met him on my first day.
That's unbelievable. Like, and from the outside looking in, and I don't know anything. This is just from perception. I feel like, obviously he regards all of his actors. I feel like you are very valuable and highly regarded to him. I think you are somebody that's.
Oh, I love hearing that. Yeah, he's just. Yeah, I feel like out of all the people that I've ever worked with, he gets me more than anybody. And he does the incredible thing. He loves actors, and he does the amazing thing of giving you something that's a 180 from what you did last time, which is so rare.
And
he's just a gift.
Robert, is he open to like is it like a discourse where like you're where he's telling you, listen, I see things this way, and then you can say, well, yeah, I agree with that, but what about this? Is it like an open conversation, or is he kind of like
he's totally open for it? It's better to do it before. Like I love to corral him before we start shooting and just say, what do you think? What do you see for this? What do you see for this? What do you see for this? And I just, rather than me making up crazy ideas about stuff, because actors can get in their heads and want to do too much. And so I want to know what the parameters are. But then I was thinking about it the other day. They are such a meticulous machine, and they have it all figured out. But there was a time where in Hill House, Henry was on the ground with Olivia, and she jumped off the stairs.
Yeah.
And we did the first rehearsal, and we were supposed to be standing, and that's how it had been set up. I said, I really think I'd go in and like put a hand on his shoulder. And Henry was like, you do that, I'm going to smack it away. And I was like, okay, good. That's good. But I think that I would go down and do that. And they completely changed the lighting and the setup and did it that way,
Wow.
which is just incredible. Yeah.
Wow. And it's so refreshing to hear that people are open that way, because I hear actors with nightmare stories about this is how it's done and there's no room for compromise,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. No, it's crazy sometimes if you can't justify blocking. I mean, usually directors are great at it, but sometimes, yeah, it can be dictatorial and not so great.
Yeah.
But he's like, that big a machine to be on the fly is kind of incredible to me. He's open for anything that's better any time.
Which explains a lot of his success. This is why this man is, and this is why you are, extremely successful professionals in each of your careers. It's
Yay, thank you.
Yeah.
He's another creature altogether. His work ethic and his stamina is just insane. It makes me nervous when I think about it.
Yeah.
His output.
Yeah.
And how much he's moving all the time. Oh God, it's bewildering to me.
Yeah, and his wife is an amazing talent. I would be remiss if I,
Kate is fantastic.
Yeah,
she's like she's a character actress inside a great beauty.
Yeah. I have to say this, and tell me if you agree with this, Robert. So when I first saw Brad Pitt come on screen, he just reminds me of we talked about this earlier about Robert Redford. Brad Pitt has always reminded me of Robert Redford. I can't explain why.
Oh, me too. What, From a River Runs Through It?
Yes. And I don't know what it is about Kate. She reminds me very much of Angelina Jolie. I don't know what it is.
Me too. Well, I think they have kind of like these impossibly beautiful eyes that are somewhat the same color. I think I've never looked at them side by side, but she definitely does.
Yeah, both super talented actors. So, did Mike ever, mention to you what it is about your abilities as an actor? I guess getting the job in itself is the answer, but has he ever specifically said, Robert, this is why I freaking love you, man. This is why I keep bringing you back?
I don't know if we've ever he's been really lugubrious and lovely and given me compliments that have just fucking made me burst into tears. But like, as far as the utility of it, I think it's just because I go for it with him.
Yeah.
No, I've never been more raw or like on the spot, or it's so funny. It's the most loving place I've ever been, but it's the highest pressure I've ever had on me. Always doing something huge for him. And I trust him so much that I'll just go bare for him.
Yeah, and buckle up, because I got more compliments for you coming your way. But I have to say, speaking of what you just said, seeing your final product, it's jaw dropping. How do you put the nerves? I get it. You're a pro's pro. I understand that. How do you put those nerves aside, or those, maybe the anxiety? I guess maybe that's a heavy word, but how do you put that aside and say, you know what? Time to go to work. Time to do this. How do you? I have a tough time doing that.
Make a shift at the last second and say, "This is my friend. This is actually this panic and anxiety and terror of because you risk humiliation, which is like the worst thing for a human being. And if you go in there and go like wah 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 wah, like no one will look at you when you go to get your coffee, and it'll be an actor's nightmare. And so you do anything so that doesn't happen. And I have to just say, this is fuel. This is exactly what I'm supposed to be feeling right now. And don't run from it. Dive right into it.
Yeah. So him bringing you on once is a huge compliment. When a director,
my God,
and when a director, Robert, brings you back 5 times, I would say that's an actor's ultimate dream.
I pinch myself. I mean, I always wanted to be in the cool club like that. Being in an ensemble or something, and I didn't know if it was ever going to happen. And it's a remarkable. I mean, I feel so grateful for it.
So let's get into the movie that to the show. One of the shows that it's just a work of art. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like I don't know. Did you read Hill House in 8th grade?
Yes, and we watched the movie, and it scared the fuck out of me. Watching it just in an English classroom with the big old clicking 16mm projector right in the room. But it was terrifying. Nobody had ever done anything like that. Like, scan close-ups of the wall, and you're like, oh, it fucking scared me to death. Yeah, I loved it. Yeah. So I can't believe I'm in Hill House connected to that I was watching as a teenager. I can't believe I'm in the sequel of The Shining. I can't believe I'm in a Halloween movie. That movie rocked me when I was 16. Like, it's just incredible to me that I'm in these franchises. It's just really, like, it's kind of mind-blowing.
But the funny thing is, like, you can't believe it, but, like, after I've seen it, I can't imagine anybody in those roles but you.
Wow, that's sweet. Thank you.
You know, I can't, and I have to say, the monologue that everyone talked about, and they still talk about today, when you're looking at Mike Flanagan work, when you're talking about TV series and episodic series, is the monologue Mr. Dudley has, and I think it's episode 3, if I'm not mistaken.
It's episode 7.
I'm thinking of 3 in Midnight Mass, but there's
3 is a big one.
Yeah. So so Mike is known for his unedited long shots, which is pretty amazing. Was that an unedited long shot, or was that an edited shot?
Unedited long shot. Yeah.
So explain to me how you remember 564 words, and I counted them. You're going to think I'm pathetic.
Are you serious? Is that what it is?
It is.
Luckily,
yep.
I got cast immediately in that show, but I didn't have to do that for another month. So I would work on it maybe 10, 15, like not try to hammer away at it, but work at it like 10, 15 minutes a day until I got up to the point and I was looking at it all the time, but I was fucking petrified to the point where I even said some naive stuff to Mike. He was just like, okay, so want to have everybody come in and we'll show, which is what you always do. You do a blocking rehearsal and show everybody. But I had to go through this monologue and I was like, can we just do it instead? I really we don't have to do that. And Henry started laughing. And I was like, I'll perform for the crew. I won't be able to help it. But it was fine. And I screwed up 2 of them, and got it on the 3rd take, and then asked Mike for another one just to make sure.
Wow.
Because I didn't believe it. But and then I looked at it. He showed it to me that night, and the whole crew clapped and everything after that. It was just I felt like I'd earned my place on that show that night, because before that, I was just coming in and doing, we'll be cleaning the chimney, and I'll be like, yeah, it's dirty. Yep. And then get on a plane and fly home. But then that monologue out of that character, I didn't know I could do that.
It's amazing, Robert, because even I was reading Reddit today and some YouTube videos, the comments are this is one of the most jaw-dropping things I've ever seen. It's one comment after another.
That's so amazing. Mike showed me those. I'm not on Twitter or any of those things.
Yeah.
He showed me once. That's another case where they were all so lovely that they made me start crying.
Well, because it's well deserved, and I don't know how somebody does almost a 600-word monologue, and then it's the pauses you have, the reflection you have. It's Robert, it's effing perfect acting. It's perfect.
God, thank you so much. I really didn't know I could do it, and I couldn't believe that I had done it that way, and the high pressure of it. The fact that it was so terrifying, it brought things out of me that I've never experienced before. Yeah, it's just somehow I got lost in it and just sailed with it.
And Henry is feeding you the lines off camera, which I thought was super creative to do it.
It's just amazing. It's amazing that that's a long time for somebody to wait. And he said the sweetest thing. Mike came up to him and said, this has been a long time off camera. Are you all right? And he was like, you kidding? I have the best seat in the house.
Yeah. I mean, that scene puts people into tears, and I think that Dudleys are the only people that really understand Hill House in the entire show. Do you agree?
Oh, they do. They do know what they're not kidding. They know exactly what it is. Yeah, and Annabeth, my God,
she's so good.
Us together a couple times in these shows, and she's just fantastic, and I love her so much as a friend too.
Yeah, and there's another scene where Hugh wants to burn down the house, and the way you politely plead with him, not plead, but like talk to him, saying, this house, you tell him the importance of the house, and it's just such a stunning scene, like such an emotional scene, like you can't help
that one. Yeah,
you can't help but weep because you just know what this family just went through with the loss of their daughter, to top it on the baby that they lost, and this. So whatever you wanted to say about
it's a loving blackmail, really.
yes, yes. But talk about that. Like, it's just such a wonderfully sensitive, emotional, and just beautiful scene, Robert.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah.
I don't know, that's just another thing that fell into place. Like Mr. Dudley, I felt like it's hard for me to go back and think about doing the work on those days. It just like, I don't know. I felt like I couldn't go wrong at some point.
What's your take on that house, Robert? So the obvious answer is it's evil, it's terrible. I get that. But
it is.
But when you bring, Clara back into the house so she could die, there I go again, pouring my tears all over my lap, like a,
I love that. I love that stuff when we're old. Yeah.
Like, and I'm not just saying this because we're speaking, like legitimately, like pouring my eyes out. But is the house itself? Do you think it's evil? Because I feel like the fact that the house is, you're able to see family, you're able to. I don't know if that's a good thing, a bad thing. I try to see the bright side in this. And is there a bright side to Hill House?
That is the only one. That is the only one.
Yeah.
Is that you can conquer death in there. But it also wants you to die. So it's a really fucked up, evil place. It wants you to commit suicide. It wants you to die there. It wants to keep you.
Yeah.
It wants to keep everybody. But there's a devil's bargain. You can see your daughter every day if you want.
Devil's bargain is a perfect phrase for that house. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know who else goes on? Well, he probably doesn't go unrecognized, but the idea that two actors can portray the same character, Timothy Hutton and Henry are so wonderful in taking two characters and making it one and dividing up that role is just so beautiful.
Oh, they're great. Yeah, and they're both heartbreaking. Yeah, they're great. Yeah, I love it. And I love that I'm in a teeny scene with Timothy Hutton, and we don't even talk to each other. But like, I had been so enamored with Ordinary People my whole life. And I was like, that was another bucket list thing. It was like, okay, not the way my 20-year-old mind thought it might go, but I'm there, and so is he.
And I feel like what Horace goes through, your character goes through, is 100 times worse than whatever Michael Myers could do, because it's such losing two kids and having that.
Yeah.
Is that a good way of looking at that, Robert?
What? Say that again?
Is it just the idea of like what Horace goes through is 100 times worse than anything Michael Myers could do? Because
it's despicable. That house took everything from him. Took his mother, his wife, his kids. Yeah,
and there's
took an unborn baby. Yeah,
there's a theory that your character Horace is William Hill's child. Like, there's so many theories out there. It's insane.
Oh, I think that might be possible. I love it. I love that Bruce Dern played that part too.
Yeah. Yes. That's. I tell you that from top to bottom, one of the best. And speaking of the best, Midnight Mass. So let me ask you this. And I hate asking it this way because it comes across so trivial. Tougher character to play. Horace, or Joe Collie.
Oh, Joe Collie.
Yeah.
That monologue was daunting for Horace Dudley, but Joe Collie. When I said yes, he offered me two different parts, and I picked that one. And then when we got off the phone, I was like, how the fuck am I going to do? Like, this is going to take a lot. And he wasn't kidding. He was just like, I think you're going to love this part, but you're going to have to go to some dark places.
Oh,
and I did. Oh God, I just ate McDonald's and never cleaned my hotel room. Like, I really dove into it.
How do when it comes to a role like that? How do you? I get the physical part, but how do you prepare mentally for something like that?
God, just shame. It's like I had a mantra in my head where I was like, "You're a piece of shit. all the time.
Mm.
Anytime I walked into anywhere, anytime I made eye contact with anybody, it's just remember you're a piece of shit. Yeah.
And I get it's role preparation, but like, is that hard to get out of when everything's done? Is that like a physically and mentally?
It's fun. It was that. God, I talk about crying so much, but when I drove home from that show, it was so beautiful because it was in the middle of COVID before there was even. We had huge protocols, but there was no vaccine or anything like that. And you get so close with the people there. And it was, after being isolated, you could hug people and like hang out in the hotel rooms. And I just cried the whole way home after that experience. And a lot of it was releasing Joe too, I think, which was he was hard to carry for that long.
No, man, that's beautiful. Like, that's really beautiful. Like that is like such a poignant thing to say, like to finally
God. I thought I might have been going crazy too. Like I was driving down the highway through Washington going like, like unfucking believable crying. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's tough to see Joe hates himself. For those listening, Joe hates himself more than anyone else could. And it's tough to see sometimes.
Oh, got that. Yeah. I can't watch that dog scene.
You know what?
I've watched My Murder a couple times because I love it. And when you talk about comedy and horror being the same, I think there are some comedic moments with me and Hamish in that scene, as gross as it is,
Yes. When and they kind of come like right around where he notices the picture on the wall, like, wait a second,
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's just so inherently funny. He's fantastic. I mean, he's just an astounding actor.
He's fantastic. And I love what the show does, Midnight Mass, when, good isn't always what we think it is, and darkness can exist in those that have the best intentions, right?
Yes. Yeah. I like that byline.
Yeah. And I love the fact that, Joe dying is a better fate than becoming a vampire, right? And I love that he sees, I love that.
And I stole for that scene from the first Alien, John Hurt. When the alien comes out of his stomach, he's shaking his hand like that. And I thought that was so gross. Oh. And so I did it for Joe. And it kind of mirrors when his hand's shaking when he stops drinking.
Yeah, how great is that? But you know what? He does find redemption, even for a short amount of time. And it's the most satisfying part of Midnight Mass is when, even though it's a little, not a long time, but when Joe Collie finds that redemption, turns himself...
God, he's going to do it, too.
Yes.
Yeah. He's going to turn his life around. Oh, it's tragic.
And that's beautiful because he does find himself again. And it's probably one of the more refreshing parts of Midnight Mass as far as... Because the show is, it's a tragedy. It's like, it's people trying to do the right thing and everybody's just doing the wrong thing. And it's
vicious. There's so much pain on screen in that show.
Yeah. And when you mentioned the dog Pike, when the dog dies, it's amazing, wonderful job. Like I would have lost my shit. I would have lost my shit, Robert, if something happened, because we have 3 dogs, and I would have gone crazy. Like I would have had the same reaction that Joe did.
Oh yeah, and I've got 3 cats, and they're so sweet. The older I get, the more I love pets.
Yeah.
Like to a ridiculous amount. I really feel like they're family. I don't think I used to feel like that. But yeah, I imagined that my cat got out of my apartment and it was me just looking at him squished on the yellow line and cars were going around me. And that's what I was using for that. And that would ruin me.
And no one does Joe any favors, especially the sheriff and the police.
No, they fucking do not.
No,
yeah.
They harass him. Yes, the sheriff watches him in the store to see if he's stealing. Even when he loses his dog, I feel like people aren't sensitive. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, but I think the sheriff is loving and maybe my only friend besides Bull.
Yes, because you spend so much time in the jail cell with him. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Yeah.
I have to feel like he's an advocate, even though I'm a real pain in the ass to him, for sure. Yeah.
I did want to talk about one of the best scenes I've seen. There's so many of these. I feel like I'm saying this all the time, but it's true. Is the scene in the trailer with Anara, who's a phenomenal actor.
Oh my God, Anara, yes.
Anara, I'm sorry, I mispronounced. Anara, and I have to...
Anara Simone, she's a little genius. Mike finds these unbelievable, like humblingly good actors. I just watching Midnight Club. There's an actor in there, actress Ruth Codd, it's her first thing, and she's fucking brilliant. It's crazy.
Yeah, you
And
know,
a lot of these kids, it's their first thing, and they come in and they're just hit it out of the park.
I'm watching you, and I'm emotional as hell, and then I'm watching her saying "I forgive you," and your reaction after she says "I forgive you," I had to stop. I had to stop Midnight Mass and just like have a little cry out. I had to get rid of those feelings because it was.
Oh man, that's amazing because it does jump right into Bev again.
Yes,
it's so funny.
Yes,
it's so emotional, and then Bev is being such an asshole again. Samantha is the sweetest woman in the world, but I hate that fucking lady, Bev. I love Samantha, but my God, she created a monster.
Yeah. And when Lisa tells you that, that I forgive you when she says it, and Joe's like, the reaction on your face, like you don't deserve it, man. That's just phenomenal stuff, I have to say.
Yay, thank you. Yeah, that's all. God, that's just like ruminating on so much shame. Yeah.
And he does, and when he's turning the corner in episode 3, that same episode, he's having a conversation about substance abuse, he's just having this, I don't know, this like kind of turn. He's starting to,
it's really opening up. I actually love that scene because Joe is like swearing in front of the priest. It's like, everyone came here, so I figured, fuck it. And I came here, and it's just, he's wide open.
Yeah, it's just such an amazing thing. And I think people were bummed to see Joe not get that redemption, right? But that's part of the beauty of Midnight Mass.
Yeah, and I got a great murder. I wished I had a better murder in Halloween Kills instead of just being dead in the attic. I just thought, like, God, torture my son in front of me, torture me in front of my son. Like, there could have been a real moment there. But I'm very grateful for that movie.
Yeah, and I know you're not on social media, but do you know like how people perceive your work in like Hill House or Midnight Mass or Dr. Sleep?
Only from Twitter stuff that people send me. People are really nice about sending me stuff like that. Oh. And yeah, they're overwhelming, some of the things people say. When I had Midnight Mass and Halloween out and people were sending me these lovely Twitter feeds, they were just, God, it made me feel so good. I couldn't take it if they were mean. I don't know how people do it all the time, where you can get the rancor of strangers. Like, that would eviscerate me.
Yeah, and Twitter is a cesspool in that way, right? Because they're so.
Is it?
Yeah, because they're so not
lovely to me.
Yeah, not to you, not to you, but like just in general, the topic could be something innocent as a newborn puppy, and somebody will say, "Well, look at the owner, look how fat that owner is." Like, it would be like,
oh God, yeah, I had to get off Facebook for that reason. I got embarrassingly into it for about 3 years, and then just had to go cold turkey from it. And it takes 6 months of sitting with your coffee in the morning and going like, and what did we used to do? But then it's so nice. Now if I just even see the Facebook logo, it gives me like an acrophobic feeling, like a little electric bolt. I'm just like, repulsed by it.
Man, I got to tell you, I have the same thing with my phone. It's like a part of my body. Like, it's like, put the effing thing down and don't look at it. Like,
yes,
it's an
if
illness.
I go to dinner with somebody, I'll leave it in my car or shut it off. Yeah, and I never bring it on set.
Yeah, I get so disappointed in myself sometimes. I'm like, what are you looking for? There's nothing in this,
It's just that little endorphin dopamine rush that you want from, I don't think it's a great thing. I love acting and going home,
Yeah.
And then the rest of it, I don't know.
Yeah. Do you rewatch Hill House or Midnight Mass? Are those shows that you've rewatched?
Oh yeah, I've looked at some of the scenes that you're talking about. I've looked at a couple times. I am someone who can watch their work, but I have to kill it. I have to watch it so many times that I'm immune to it. Watch it like 10 times in a row, and then I feel like I can own it and I can file it away. But it's daunting the first time. Good God, it can be like watching your own autopsy.
Yeah, and I got to say, Robert, those people say that they don't watch their own work. I don't believe them. I think
I'm not sure. I think I might have to agree with you. I find that a little astounding.
What moment or moments, Robert, from Hill House or Midnight Mass do you love watching from your point from that involve you? Like, what are you most? I don't want to say most proud of because then I guess I'll say most proud of. Like, what?
I love the bargaining that you were talking about.
Yeah.
When Hugh wants to burn the house down, I love that. I love when we're old, and I love my monologue. Oh. I really I can't. I look at that and it just doesn't. I don't know who that is. I mean, I do, but I didn't think I could do that.
And then it's like people see those things, and then people get why Mike keeps coming back to you. It's just obvious, you know.
So he gets me. It's so amazing that you can go for decades with no one getting you, and I'm sure I've gotten better, but I've even gotten better just on Mike's things, just the way that. It's just such a finely tuned machine, and he's just so fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
I've never had writing that good, never been directed that well. He'll say one sentence, half a sentence, and it'll change everything.
Yeah, but I also tell you, if it was Mike on this phone right now, I know I just have a feeling what he would say about you. It would be some of the same things, but from an acting perspective.
Oh, I would hope so.
Yeah,
I would.
You know what's an underrated piece of work in your filmography that I love? Dr. Sleep was freaking great.
I love it too.
Yeah,
and I'm in like one of the worst scenes in film history. That Jacob Tremblay.
Oh, yeah,
what
that's
a
tough.
little, I can't believe he turned 12 on set that night. He died on his birthday. We had birthday cake for him. But what he did, he made us all cry, and we had to take a break for 20 minutes.
Wow.
He was just dying in front of us. There was no mistaking it. And it was so disturbing and so awful. And then he would giggle and go get hot chocolate.
But those are the moments I love hearing about that.
He fucked me up. That kid is brilliant. Yeah, and probably not a kid anymore.
But again, another actor that kind of shows up and just knocks it out of the park. Like this perfect
like
acting choice.
Yeah.
Barry the Chunk is a great name, and you know who's just so.
Yeah, it was a racist name first, and they changed it to that.
Yeah. And I love Rebecca Ferguson. She's just so. I mean, the whole cast is great.
She's amazing, and she's so much fun.
Yeah, she's
great. She's so smart and so funny.
Yeah, she's terrifying. But an underrated movie, and I was so pissed that the studio scrapped the prequel because I was dying to see it.
I know. I would have loved it too. It's that I don't know why that movie kind of slipped under the door, and I don't know how. It was such a big movie. I don't think it was advertised properly. But it's really. I mean, Mike did the impossible, pulling that off. And pleasing everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, and I tell you who did a great job. And I hate to keep talking about Henry Thomas, but come on, that was
incredible. He's scary as shit in that movie. Yeah,
that is tough to watch.
Henry's great.
Yeah. So, Robert, I have two things left. Thank you so much for all your time. You don't know how much this means.
You're
to me.
So welcome. I know. I had a blast.
So I don't know if you ever heard of this. It's a Stephen King book, and Stephen King's a tough guy to figure, Robert, because it's like he's the same guy that's given us It, and he's given us Christine and all these like terrifying movies, but he's also given us The Shawshank Redemption and The Green Mile. Like this man is like
I know, and Stand By Me.
Yeah, it's
beautiful movies. Yeah,
beautiful. And so there's a book of his called Duma Key, Duma Key.
I've never read that. I've heard of it though.
So a friend of mine has a Stephen King podcast. It's very, very highly regarded. It's a great podcast. And I said,
yeah.
And when you first agreed to come on, I was so stoked. I turned to him. I said, Robert, I'm going to get a chance to speak with Robert. He's like, I'm going to read you the text. He goes, tell him he needs to play Jerome Wireman. He's a big character in this. And then he comes back at me again. He goes, tell him, ! Talking about you. So, and I said, why Robert? I go, why do you think Robert should play this role? And I'm going to read you exactly what he said about you. Because he brings so much heart to a role, and he's a show stealer. Jerome provides the main character the opportunity for a second chance at life and gives him a friend when he needs it most. He'll, talking about you, bring the heart and has the opportunity to deliver some of his patented earnestness that forces the viewer to lean forward with every line reading. How freaking great is that quote?
That is fucking lovely. I'm gonna frame that one.
And he said to me, he said Mike Flanagan needs to acquire this because, and I think it's right up Mike's alley. I think this is a perfect Mike Flanagan project. 2008.
God, I would love it. They fit so well together.
Yeah,
Stephen King and Mike Flanagan. Yeah, I hope they do. I hope they do more collaborations. I really do. But yeah, I've loved Stephen King forever. The Shining is maybe the scariest thing I've ever read, besides The Exorcist.
And the reason I read that quote to you is obviously is to let you know it.
It's so sweet. That's just mind-bogglingly kind.
But I feel like that's a good summation of who you are as an actor. I do. I feel like that's a perfect quote.
I love that. That makes me feel really good. Thank you.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to ask you is, what are you able to say about Midnight Club and the Fall of the House of Usher?
That the Fall of the House of Usher is an insane, violent, sexual, crazy romp. And it'll be really scary.
Yeah.
And Midnight Club is just full of new actors with unbelievable first performances, and it's just exhilarating to watch those guys clicking at that level.
Would you put it? Where would you put it with as far as is it similar to like Hill House, where it's scary as hell, but it has those emotional feels to it?
Yes, very much so. It's also incredibly sad, just because of the premise of it.
Yeah,
you know, young people hospice. That's just awful.
Yeah. And something tells me Mike makes this work like he does everything else, and the cast is phenomenal.
He does. I was wondering if it was going to be like a teeny bopper kind of thing, and it's definitely young adult, but it's beautiful and hard hitting and sweet, and it's everything. It's the incredible. It's Mike Flanagan humor. It's horror. I mean, Mike Flanagan horror, which is just so full of heart.
Yeah,
you just really care about those people, and Stephen King's the same way. They don't miss that in the horror part. There's always there's a silver vein of humanity going through all of them that makes you care.
Yeah, and it's amazing too, because every time one of Mike's projects comes out, the first person to hop on it and compliment is Stephen King on Twitter. He's like, "This is amazing. This is Stephen King."
So sweet. Yeah. It was. He had to approve us for Dr. Sleep.
Really? Yeah.
Okay, from Stephen King. Yeah, and Mike sent him my monologue.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my! That
was a lovely deference that he was doing. Like Mike bent over backwards for everybody and figured out how to do the Kubrick estate and Stephen King, who were acrimonious for years. He pulled off a magic trick getting that done.
What was it?
And it was to walk in the Overlook Hotel.
Wow.
That set was an exact replica and absolutely huge, and down those hallways was just unbelievable. I felt like I was tripping walking in there.
Because King wasn't too. Maybe I hope I'm remembering this right. King wasn't thrilled with the original Shining, right? He wasn't.
He hated that he ended in fire and Kubrick ended in ice, and he thought he started Jack Nicholson too crazy, so there was nowhere to go. That was his big thing with it. Yeah. So Mike brought back the fire at the end. He just did a bunch of things.
Yeah.
Incredible. Jeez. That script was amazing.
What else is out there for you? Any projects that I haven't mentioned that you wanted to throw out there?
Kind of thing. I'm in another Boots Riley thing. I was in Sorry to Bother You, his movie.
Nice.
And he's doing a show called I'm a Virgo about a 13-foot black man in Oakland. And I'm in there as a cult leader. And I'm excited about that one. And I have a cameo in House of Usher, but I'm a bastard.
Worse than Barry the Chunk?
He's so cold and insect-like. This guy's much more vitriol and cruelty to children, and this guy's a prick that I play in that movie, in that show.
Yeah. Are you excited about your getaway to Maine?
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And then after that, I'll do a small horror movie in Shreveport where I'm playing a therapist, and I've never done that before, so that'll be great.
Nice, man. I'm so happy for you, and I hope I made this enjoyable for you, so you come back.
You did. It was great.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm feeling like I'm being a bit of a snob about these things.
No. No. You have your reasons, and I am just so thrilled that you came on and just to talk. And I hope one day you come back on again, because I certainly would love to have you. I'm a big fan.
Well, I will now. I double dare you. This has been great, Derek.
Thank you for listening to Derek Thomas and Monday Morning Critic Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, you can also connect with Monday Morning Critic on Instagram and Facebook, MDM Critic on Twitter, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever podcasts are found. All episodes available, www.mmcpodcast.com.